Thank you very much, Uwe, and thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you today about the infrastructure side of things. I'm talking about the hydrogen infrastructure ramp up, going into a little bit the current state and also how we see the future development in Germany and in Europe. So let me start with the why. Why are we doing all of this? Because we dump way too much CO2 into the air and we have to decarbonize the mobility sector. You probably all know 30% of all the CO2 accounts for the transportation sector, and hydrogen and battery vehicles are really the only two solutions we have to decarbonize the sector. Also, hydrogen is really useful because it uses less raw materials than other technologies, and currently we overuse the raw materials we have on our planet. Also, we're aiming for 100% renewable energy, and we need energy storage solutions to store all this intermittent energy that we will have. And hydrogen is a really useful solution to store this energy over a long time. Looking at the transportation sector, we see that there's not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution anymore. We will have different vehicles and different technologies for different use cases. For example, battery electric vehicles are useful if you have low weight requirements and not so high range requirements. On the other hand, fuel cell electric vehicles are really useful if you have higher weight requirements, if you want to take on a lot of load, and you also have high range requirements. So looking into the heavy duty sector, as well as buses with long range requirement, and also for different use cases with passenger vehicles, and looking into the heavy user applications like ships or aviation, their hydrogen will be really useful. So what is the role of H2 Mobility in this? H2 Mobility builds, plans, and operates the hydrogen infrastructure in Germany and also in Austria. We are building the backbone of this hydrogen ecosystem, and also we provide services to other companies. So having these three business areas in H2 Mobility, building and operating the network, also having a digital solution for our customers. H2 Live was already mentioned before, that you can see real-time information about the hydrogen refueling infrastructure, and also seeing the different services that we see and sharing all our knowledge to other players. So when H2 Mobility started in 2015, there was the chicken and egg problem. There were no hydrogen stations, therefore no vehicles, and no vehicles because there were no hydrogen stations. So this is why H2 Mobility started to build up this infrastructure. And this infrastructure is not built overnight. You really need some time to plan, of course, the refueling station. They are complex systems. They're also expensive. And this is why we had to have some time to build up that infrastructure. Behind us, we have really strong shareholders from the oil and gas industry, as well as OEMs, to really build this integrated system between infrastructure and also the vehicle side. We operate in the second part of the hydrogen supply chain, looking at from the storage at the hydrogen refueling stations. We store this liquid or in gaseous compressed form, and then we provide the refueling to the vehicle with 350 bar, 700 bar compressed gaseous hydrogen, or also in the future cryo-compressed hydrogen or subcooled liquid hydrogen. Looking at the network worldwide, we see that it's growing all over the world. We currently see Asia leading with over 275 refueling stations. Then also Europe is having a strong position, and in the US, California is mainly where the most hydrogen refueling stations are at the moment. Having a deep dive on Europe, we see that Germany is leading in terms of numbers, but there are also stations that are being developed in France or also in Scandinavia, and we see that there need to be a strong Europe-wide approach to this as well. Zooming in into Germany, Germany is a really special case because here we have connected all cities, all logistic hubs with now over 90 stations. This makes H2 Mobility the leading hydrogen network operator worldwide. and we have conducted over 120,000 vehicle refuelings, which means that we have a lot of experience with that, and we have an average availability from over 95%. Now showing some use cases that HD Mobility has been active with. Looking at cars, buses, also garbage collectors, and also trucks that are refueling at our refueling stations currently, I want to point out some success stories. One success story is Faun. Faun is a garbage collector company, like a vehicle manufacturer company in the north of Germany. And when they switched from their ICE engine to a fuel cell vehicle company, they have really approached us, and we have developed an integrated approach so that their vehicle setting and their engineering is also really in line and optimized for the refueling station. Furthermore, just pointing out another example, we see the local bus operator in Cologne that is now operating over 35 fuel cell electric buses. They could use the normal routes that they have had beforehand, and they have really a smooth operation with the long ranges they have required. Also, we say Hyundai. We've heard from Hyundai earlier, that has the Exient fuel cell in Switzerland, but also now we're looking at integrating more of the trucks into Germany. The Toyota Mirai, the new one, is also really the customer's favorite at the moment. We already have a huge demand from the new Toyota Mirai at our stations. So as I said, we had this unconditional rollout beforehand where we have built the basic network coverage. And now we are looking at a strategic regional growth, where it's really about demand-oriented hydrogen network expansion, and where we gonna just build there where there's also demand. Mainly saying that we need a demand from around 50 tons after 3 years, so that the refueling station is also operated profitable. Now in this unconditional ramp-up phase, we have created almost 100 refueling stations with a capacity for 40,000 cars, with mainly 700 bar, reaching over 6 million drivers. But not also 700 bar with up to refueling of 10 kilograms. We also have almost 10 stations where you can refuel 42.5 kilograms up to 42.5 kilograms with 350 bar. And this is mainly used for buses and other light-duty vehicles. And we are looking into the future refueling for especially trucks of up to 80 to 100 kilograms. Because if you look at the development that we see until 2030, we see a demand shift coming from personal vehicles and cars towards the heavy-duty sector. Because the heavy-duty sector is really hard to decarbonize just with battery electric cars, battery electric vehicles, we see that there will be a lot of heavy-duty fuel cell vehicles in the market by 2030. In our scenarios, that will account 80% of our demand, because they also just have a way higher demand than cars. And we see 355,000 tons of demand coming just in Germany in 2030. Exactly. So what vehicles are behind these numbers? You can see a lot of cars, also light duty, and buses that are already in the market or coming into the market. And then in the heavy duty sector, we have Hyundai coming strong and also announcing to ramp up production, as you heard earlier. We have Daimler. We also heard from them with the Gen H2 truck. And we also have other players like Hyzon or Nikola looking at the European market with numbers of heavy-duty vehicles. So to meet this growing demand, we will also offer bigger refueling stations. Currently, we have mainly offered S and M refueling stations for passenger vehicles, light commercial vehicles, buses, and medium-duty vehicles, with a maximum hydrogen throughput of up to 500 kilograms. In the future, we're going to look at offering L and also double XL stations, which means that we are looking into a maximum hydrogen throughput of up to 4 tons. And this really going to offer every vehicle class a refueling, and mainly also looking at this heavy duty applications. To give you an example of how that could look like, a XXL 700 bar compressed gaseous hydrogen station could look somewhat like this. We would imagine a trailer swap scenario with medium high pressure storage, compressor units, and then the dispensers here. This is still a prototype phase or a conceptualized phase, and it can also be not just a 700 bar, but also cryo-compressed, as we're going to hear later from Cryomotive, or also SLH2 as Daimler is favoring. So looking into how's the market outlook, we really see there are going to be a lot of vehicles, buses, cars, trucks coming into the market. This is why we need an expansion of the refueling network all over Germany in the EU. For example, the IPCEI, currently the projects of common European interest, are having an EU integrated strategy where H mobility was chosen to also integrate all the projects in Germany. And we really have to look at this heavy duty segment Europe-wide, because Germany is such an important country for the transition and for the logistics area. We have to have decisions on what heavy duty standards we're going to be using, because of course the infrastructure, technology and storage technology should be the same as the vehicle side. We shouldn't have too many different approaches. The technology race is still open somewhat, but we see that we really have to decide on some sort of standard, and the CEP is doing great work there, so we can have a smooth integration of infrastructure and the vehicle side. Of course, it's also about scaling production on the vehicle side, also on the infrastructure side, to reduce TCOs for the customer. Today, as we all know, this industry is still highly reliant on subsidies, and in the future, we have to reduce the TCOs to meet customer expectations. We are seeing that we can reduce the cost to serve by 80% until 2030. Mainly driven by reduced cost of hydrogen, also the scale up of green hydrogen, but this is still a really ambitious goal. Also, there are going to be more offerings, like digital service offerings for customers. Here already you can see the H2 Live app, where you can see in real time the availability of the refueling stations, and there will be more digital offerings to our customers. So as a summary, we see a rapid increase of fuel cell vehicles in the market, and also the necessity of it, and also demand from customers. Therefore, we will be building a hydrogen infrastructure all over Germany and all over Europe, with bigger hydrogen refueling stations to serve all sorts of vehicle types, from passenger cars to heavy duty applications. The heavy duty sector is especially interesting because technology-wise it's still open, but we need to have an integrated look on infrastructure and vehicle to really have a smooth operation there. The cost reduction in the scale is essential to the whole industry to be profitable in the long term, and green CO2 production needs to be scaled and also be used in mobility, not just in other sectors. So the future of zero emission mobility is starting already, and we are excited to lead the transition on this. And if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me with this email address, and I'm happy to take your questions. Thank you very much.